Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Hey there.
Today we're taking a focused look at the state of international rugby, really through the eyes of France head coach Fabien Galthie.
Yeah, specifically digging into his recent comments about, well, the big guns, New Zealand and South Africa.
Exactly. And what that means for France is, let's be honest, incredibly challenging tour coming up very soon to New Zealand.
And we're drawing this from a really good piece in Planet Rugby, which covered Galthie's interview with Midi Olympique. So, plenty to unpack.
Absolutely. So our mission really is to understand Galthie's perspective. Like, why does he still say the All Blacks and Springboks have the best players, even with France doing so well?
Right, and how does that tie into the, frankly, daunting situation they face heading to New Zealand with maybe not their full-strength squad?
Yeah, what does it all tell us about where world rugby is right now?
It's more than just sound bites, isn't it? It's about legacy, current form, the nuts and bolts of managing a top international side.
Totally agree. And look, before we dive headfirst into it, just a quick reminder for you listening, if you enjoy this kind of in-depth rugby chat.
Yeah, please do hit subscribe to the Rugby Obsession feed.
It really helps us out. It means you won't miss any future deep dives. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Let's kick off with that big claim from Galthie, the one that sort of made people sit up and take notice. He basically said New Zealand and South Africa still have the best rugby players in the world.
And he added that bit, the legend lives on, which, coming from him, leading France, that's significant.
It really is. What do you make of that? I mean, France have beaten these teams, won a Grand Slam.
Well, that's what makes it fascinating, isn't it? It's not just, pre-match talk. He seems to genuinely believe there's still a kind of inherent quality, maybe a depth, in the player production systems in New Zealand and South Africa that's just different.
Even with France's own development pathways getting so much stronger.
Apparently so, in his view. It suggests that legend isn't just history. It's something he sees right now in the players they consistently produce. Maybe it's the sheer volume of top-tier talent,
It's a pretty powerful statement of respect then.
Definitely. And it sets the stage perfectly for the immediate challenge because France are heading down to New Zealand next month, July, for 3 tests against those All Blacks.
Yeah, the timing makes his comments even more pointed.
And this is where the wheels sort of hit the road, pragmatically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
The article highlights this massive hurdle for France on tour. They're going to be missing a lot of key players.
Right, because of that agreement between the FFR, the Federation, and the LNR, the clubs.
Exactly. It's partly about player welfare, limiting matches, but the consequence is a severely depleted squad for this particular tour.
And Galthie actually described how they're having to, piece the squad together, didn't he?
Yeah, it sounds quite complex. He starts by calling up players from the teams knocked out early in the top 14 playoffs. They get together first, actually play England in late June.
Okay, so that's one group.
Then, only after the top 14 semifinals, a week later, he adds players from those losing teams. They join up and head to New Zealand.
Wow. So the full squad doesn't even assemble properly until right before they travel.
Pretty much. You've got guys coming off intense, emotional playoff runs, physically battered maybe, and then thrown straight into a tour prep against the All Blacks with barely any time together. It's, a massive ask for cohesion.
He didn't mince words about it either. Called it the toughest we've ever played with his French team.
But then, classic Galthie, he flips it. He frames it as this incredible challenge, almost heroic.
Yeah, he quoted his message to the players. We have a challenge that seems impossible. Do you want to be part of it?
Which is smart psychology, isn't it? Acknowledge the huge difficulty, but make it something aspirational, a test of character.
Definitely. It's not about making excuses beforehand. It's about embracing the difficulty.
And there's a subtle point there, too. While he calls the situation impossible, he also expressed confidence in French rugby's depth. He thinks the work done with the wider 42-man squad means they can still put out a competitive team.
So the challenge is impossible because of the logistics, the timing, the missing players.
Right. But he still believes the players who are there have the quality to compete. It's a belief in the system they've built, even when stretched thin.
Let's talk specifics then, because the article mentioned Romain Ntamack. Star fly half, obviously.
Yeah, a perfect example of the dilemmas. He apparently really wants to face the All Blacks, but there's this potential knee surgery looming after the top 14 season with Toulouse.
So Galthie's in a tough spot there.
Completely. And Galthie was very supportive publicly, listing Ntamack's achievements, the titles, the Grand Slam, all by 25. Huge praise.
No small feat, as he put it.
Exactly. But then comes the reality check. He's also cheering for Mathieu Jalibert. He's been playing brilliantly. And then the kicker. He admitted it's possible neither of them might be available for the first test in New Zealand.
Wow. No Ntamack or Jalibert against the All Blacks.
That's the potential scenario, which just underlines the whole impossible challenge thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's your two primary playmakers, potentially out for the toughest tour. What does he do then?
Well, he said he's ready to back the number 3 fly half, whoever that might be, give them full support. It shows they're prepared for that contingency, relying on that depth we talked about, players having to step up big time.
And another big name mentioned was Gregory Alldritt.
The number 8, powerhouse, leader.
The article said a decision's been made about his involvement on the tour, but it's being kept quiet for now.
Yeah, which just adds another layer of uncertainty, right? Alldritt is crucial breakdown, carrying defense, leadership.
Losing him on top of potentially Ntamack or Jalibert.
It just ramps up the difficulty level again. These aren't fringe players, they're central figures. Their absence changes the whole dynamic.
Okay, quick pause here. If you're finding this breakdown useful for understanding, the complexities of international rugby right now, the selections, the pressures,
that maybe consider leaving us a review or share this deep dive. It really helps.
And definitely, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out.
Okay.
So, bringing it back together, we've got Galthie, on one hand, full of respect for New Zealand and South Africa, the best players, the legend. And on the other hand, he's stealing his own potentially depleted squad for what he calls an impossible task against one of those very legends.
Yeah, and that tension really captures the modern game. It's that constant push and pull between club demands, international windows, player welfare.
Sure, congestion.
All of it. Coaches like Galthie are always juggling these things. Trying to build depth becomes absolutely critical because you might face the world's best without your own best available.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does all this compromise, these selection headaches, impact that idea of a team's legend over time?
That's a really interesting question. Can you maintain that aura when your top lineup is so rarely, actually fielded together for the biggest challenges because of these constraints? Does the legend become more about the depth than the absolute peak XV?
Food for thought, definitely. Right, so let's try and summarize this deep dive. Fabien Galthie's comments, they give us this really interesting mix, don't they?
Yeah, it's deep respect for the history and the talent pools of New Zealand and South Africa.
But combined with this very pragmatic, almost defiant stance about France's own situation. Facing this incredibly tough New Zealand tour with major hurdles.
Hurdles he calls the toughest, maybe impossible.
But crucially, framing it as a challenge to be met, an opportunity for the players who are available. Not an excuse.
It's a specific narrative for this tour, setting expectations, but also demanding resilience.
Exactly. So here's something provocative for you, the listener, to chew on. Galthie firmly believes NZ and SA still produce the best players that the legend lives on. How much does that sheer talent and legacy actually count for when weighed against things like squad depth, crucial preparation time, which France clearly lacks here, and just the sheer willpower of a team embracing an impossible task with maybe less proven players?
Yeah, where does the balance lie between inherent talent and the ability to forge a competitive unit under extreme pressure? What really stands out to you about Galthie's view or this whole situation France is in? We'd genuinely be interested to hear your thoughts.
Please do let us know. And remember, subscribe to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive on your podcast app. That way you'll keep getting these analyses sent straight to you.
Yep, don't miss out.
Thank you for listening to this Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We look forward to you listening to our next episode.